Hey there, friends. It's Pastor Brian Smeo from Brookville Alliance Church, and I'm so glad you could join me today. I have with me today a book that my pastoral coaching cluster has been working through this past year. And I will tell you, now that we're done with this book, I have hated this book. From the first chapter to the last, I hate this book. But there are a few good things in it, I must admit. And one of them is on this page. It's a quote by Leon Uris. Uris says, "Often we have no time for our friends, but all the time in the world for our enemies." Let me read that to you again. Often we have no time for our friends, but all the time in the world for our enemies. And I wonder if that's true for you. Maybe not enemies in a sense of war and battle and things like that. But do you give your attention to the negative things, to the bad things that occur in your life? You know, when I go to the doctor and he says, "Hey, what's going on today?" And I say, "Well, my knees are doing good, my back's not hurting, that rash is cleared up, and my toenails are starting to grow back." And he says, "Is there anything wrong?" And I look at him and I say, "No." Why? I'm not going to focus on the negative. Well, the point of going to the doctor is generally to talk about the things that maybe are going wrong. But so often we do that in our regular life. Hey, the phone's ringing. I'll be back. Okay, so now I'm back. That was my son calling with some exciting news. He didn't tell me what it was. He's going to tell me when I get home. But he's focusing on the positive. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I wonder, in your life, do you focus on the wrong things? In your regular life, you shouldn't see only positive things. But you can't just focus on the negative things. There's more to it than that. But sometimes it's hard not to focus on the negative things, right? In the Bible, we read a man named Job. Now, Job looks like Job, J-O-B. This man lost everything, and I mean everything. If you're looking for Job, it's kind of in the middle of the Bible. A couple books around it. There's Esther, Job, Psalms, and Proverbs. Psalms is a big book, so it's easy to find. Just before that, so you can check out the story of Job. It's a long story, and man, it's heavy. And Job has these friends that come around him, and one blames Job for his problems. The other says, "Well, these troubles, they are of your own making." The third one says, "Well, you must have sin in your life. It's your fault, dude." And even his wife, Job's wife, says, "Curse God and die." They were all focusing on such negativity, but Job throughout remained faithful, and he focused his eyes and his attention on God. He didn't give his time to his enemy, that is the troubles he was facing, and he focused on the things that really matter, being faithful to God. Now, I know when you're swimming in a sea full of sharks, it's hard to think of relaxing on the beach, right? Yay, sharks! That's not what I'm saying, right? I don't expect any of us to think, "Yay, coronavirus, it's so awesome. Yay, masks." Although, truth be told, it made me think of the movie The Princess Bride. Have you seen that movie? There's a scene in that movie where one character says, "Why are you wearing a mask?" And the response comes back, "Oh, I just think they're terribly comfortable. I think in the future everyone will be wearing them." It's funny how life imitates art sometimes, isn't it? Don't let this situation get you bogged down. Hold on. Yes, the negative is there, and it always will be. But choose to see that there is positive as well. One time years ago, I was driving with my brother. And I must have been in a grouchy mood. That's hard to say. Maybe I didn't get pickles on my hamburger when I drove through. It's hard to say. But I was in a grouchy mood, and he said, "You know, you have to be in some mood. You might as well choose to be in a positive mood." And all these years later, maybe I regret a little bit pushing him out at that moment. But anyway, you will focus on something. What will it be? I'm reminded of the words in James chapter 1. Verses 2 to 4. James says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking in anything." So James is telling us, look for those positive things. Realize that even in the middle of adversity, in the middle of difficulty, these are things that strengthen you. Consider it pure joy. And sometimes we want to think, "I got your joy right here, James." I have rhubarb. It's the only plant, sometimes I have tomatoes, but it's the only plant I have year after year is rhubarb, because it grows on its own. I don't have to do much about it. It faces the sun. It's out there in the wind, in the rain. It's had snow on it recently. Just a couple days ago, we had a freeze warning, and I let my rhubarb out there. I didn't cover it, didn't worry about it, and it held up. Why? Because it's sturdy. Because I know it can face those storms. It's funny how When I pull a weed out by the roots, a week later it's back and stronger than ever. But if I walk by my tomato plant a little too closely, it withers and dies. What a sissy plant tomatoes are. Maybe you've seen that lighthouse picture. It's right on the edge and there's a storm coming in. It must be this giant wave hits the lighthouse and it splashes all on both sides of the lighthouse, but the lighthouse stands. And that's incredible strength. It's incredible strength. And when difficulties arise, instead of wondering, why are these bad things happening, realize you are that rhubarb. You are that lighthouse. You have the strength to stand. Instead of wondering, why are these bad things happening to someone as amazing as I am? Instead, try to find something to be thankful for. It's all too easy to focus on the negative that's right in front of your face. Now, positive thinking isn't enough to make those bad things go away, nor is it a sufficient plan of attack on the problems that you face. But it's also not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, look for what's positive. Don't deny the negative, but look for something positive. Look for something to be thankful for. What are you focusing on? There's a story about Mr. Rogers. You remember Mr. Rogers? And when he was a boy, he was frightened by some news that he had heard, and his mother would look at him and say, look for the helpers. Because in those times of crisis, in those times of negativity, in those times of trouble, there are always helpers. You will always find people who are helping. Are you hearing from God? Are you listening? Here's a great verse I want to leave you with. It's Job 38:1. Job 38:1 says, "The Lord answered Job out of the storm." When you face storms, don't give all of your time to the things that bring you down. Evaluate where your mental energy is going. Am I giving my mental energy to the things that will sink me, or to the things that will buoy me up and let me float in this storm? The things that will let me stand against this storm. Am I finding my strength in God, or am I trying to find my strength in myself? And again, I'm not saying let's look at the world through rose-colored glasses as if there were no bad things. Instead, realize that no matter what lens you choose, you will also choose what to focus on. Sure, let's acknowledge the negative, but realize that in the middle of that storm, God is still there. He is still your strength, and He will speak to you, but you've got to listen. I'm Pastor Brian Smeal, and I'm here at Brookville Alliance Church, right in the middle of the river that never seems to go anywhere, amazingly enough. And I hope you'll join us. We're reopening this coming Sunday morning at 10:45. We'll still be on Facebook Live, though, and in our parking lot, if you want to pull in and tune to 88.5 FM, you can listen on the radio to our service. I look forward to seeing you in person and online real soon. God bless you.